again folks, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a lesson for you on the 7 major scale shapes. So with the pentatonic scale, say A minor pentatonic or A major pentatonic, we've got 5 shapes. And so on, because there are 5 notes in the scale. So we're going to have a look at the major scale, which has got 7 notes in it. I'm going to work in the key of C major, just because it's the easiest one. It doesn't contain any sharps or flats. And because we've got now 7 notes, we've also got 7 shapes to learn. So most people start out with this one. The problem with that one is that on some strings we've got 2 notes. On other strings we've got 3 notes. So we're going to play all of these shapes, all of these 7 shapes, using 3 notes per string. Which makes things quite a lot easier. Now, if I went through all 7 shapes in this one lesson, this would be a very long video, so I'm going to break it down. I'm going to break it into 4 parts, I think. So today we'll look at shape 1, 2 and 3. Part 2 we'll look at shapes 4 and 5. Part 3 we'll look at shapes 6 and 7. And then in part 4 we'll look at how they relate to the modes and how you can use them and over which chords you can use them. So before we get into it though, if I can just please remind you, if you're not already subscribed and you get anything out of these videos at all, please do subscribe to the channel. Share them, leave a comment, all that stuff. Without further ado, let me show you the first 3 shapes for this C major scale. Shape 1 is a nice symmetrical shape. We're going to start up here on the 8th fret of the low E string, and we're going to play frets 8, 10 and 12 on the 6th string and the 5th string. So we play the same finger pattern on both of those strings. Then on strings 4 and 3 we're going to play frets 9, 10 and 12. And then on strings 2 and 1, the high strings, we're going to play frets 10, 12 and 13. So that's the C major shape 1. And I like to think of that as the Ionian shape. Ionian is mode 1. So we've got shape 1 corresponding with mode 1 and Ionian. So that's the first shape. Now the second shape is going to start on the 2nd note of this C major scale, which is D. So we're going to move our index finger now up to this D, and this shape we're going to play 10, 12, 13 on the low E string, and then 10, 12, 14 on the 5th string. And then we're also going to play 10, 12 and 14 on the next 2 strings, the 4th and 3rd string. now from this 10th fret, for strings 2 and 1, we want to move up 2 frets to the 12th fret, and we're going to play 12, 13, 15 on both the high strings. So that's the second shape, and I like to call this the Dorian shape. Corresponds with mode 2. So shape 1 corresponds with mode 1, Ionian. Shape 2 corresponds with mode 2, Dorian. Now we'll look at shape 3, which starts on the 3rd note of this C major scale. So that's this E. So we're going to move our index finger up to the 12th fret now, and we're going to play frets 12, 13 and 15 on the low E, and then we're going to play frets 12, 14 and 15 on the A. And then we're also going to play 12, 14 and 15 on the 4th string, the D. Then we're going to play 12, 14, 16 on the 3rd string. And then for the high E and B strings, we're going to move up a fret to fret 13 and play 13, 15 and 17 on both of these top 2 strings. So that shape. So all of these 3 shapes, they'll all fit over a C major chord or a C major 7 chord. And that's the first 3 shapes. Next week we'll look at shapes 4 and 5. The beauty about these shapes is that once you've learned them, then you can apply them to other keys. You can play them in sort of any key. So once you've learned, for example, this shape 1 in C, you can play that exact same pattern anywhere on the fretboard. So if we wanted to play now A major, F sharp major, we know that shape. Once we know the shape, it doesn't even matter if we don't know the names of the notes really, because we can just use that same pattern. But you should know the names of the notes. You should learn those as well. So that's shapes 1, 2 and 3 in C major. We'll look at shapes 4 and 5 next week, and I will leave a link in the description for a Dropbox folder, and I'll put the diagrams for these shapes in there, and you can go on there and download them if you want them, and then you can see them on a chart. But it's really useful to learn all of these 7 shapes once you've learned your minor and major pentatonic 5 shapes. This is the next sort of step that you want to be thinking about, is to learn these full 7 note scales and in all 7 shapes. So that's basically what this lesson is. But anyway, that's all from me for this week. and I'll be back with part 2 next week, shapes 4 and 5. Until then, look after yourselves, take care, and bye for now.